Syrian rebels allied to Turkey have crossed the border into Syria in two places. The latest is the Turkish armed forces are saying they have advanced 5 kilometers deep into Afrin, and they have cleared 9 villages of what they call terrorists. The Syrian Kurdish militia, the YPG, whom the Turks accuse of being terrorists, say no. On the contrary, the Turkish armed forces have been repelled and forced to retreat. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which is the most respected independent monitoring group, says 18 people, 18, have been killed since the operation began yesterday, mostly in airstrikes, and 8 of those 18 were killed today. Syrian fighters have fired rockets into 2 Turkish towns. In Rahanlı, they killed 1 person who turned out to be a Syrian refugee and wounded 37. In Kilis, they wounded 7 people, of whom 2 are Syrian refugees. Inside Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has warned that anybody who protests against this operation will pay, quote, a high price. Nevertheless, small demonstrations have taken place in Istanbul and Ankara. I went to the scene of the Ankara one. It had finished by the time I got there, and the police told me the demonstrators numbered about 27, and they were quickly dispersed with pepper gas. Nevertheless, the Kurdish party in parliament, which is the 3rd biggest party in parliament, has called for peace and said that this is, quote, an artificial war. The government has said it will investigate anybody who posts on social media anything that protests the war, anything that it would regard as Kurdish propaganda. So clearly, the government is not going to tolerate any dissent on this operation.
And Jasper, what of the potential international ramifications of all of this? We know France, for one, has already called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council.
Yes, and Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu criticized France's call, saying that Turkey expected France to support Turkey, to stand with it as an ally, and not to, quote, side with terrorists. That Security Council meeting will take place tomorrow. The Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, has come out and said that America's, quote, unilateral actions in Syria had infuriated Turkey. He didn't explain that phrase, but I presume he's referring to America's supporting the Kurdish militia, which has proved to be the most effective fighting force against the Islamic State group. It was the Syrian Kurdish militia that crushed the Islamic State group's capital, Raqqa, in northern Syria. And America had been supplying them with weapons. Kurdish officials have told the Associated Press that Russian envoys urged the Kurdish hierarchy in Afrin to submit to Syrian government control rather than face a Turkish offensive. But the Kurds rebuffed that idea.